Since Major 1 ended, a lot of major changes have been happening throughout the Call of Duty League. We all knew Rostermania was coming after Major 1 with some of these teams that have been struggling, but there was also some roster changes that I did not expect. We're going to be going over all of the roster changes today and look at how the Call of Duty League is not only changing, but possibly ending. First major ended up going how everyone kind of expected it to go, with Ultra, FaZe, and Optic in the top 3. But there have also been some teams that have been struggling since the jump, one of them being the Los Angeles Thieves. It's crazy how fast this team flipped upside down. I mean, in 2022, they were the best team in the game and won COD champs. Now going into this season, they started the squad with Ghosty, Cammy, Joe Deceives, and Afro, who are all talented players in their own right. But we all knew that this wasn't going to work, and most predictions ended up being true. This team struggled both online and on LAN, and one of the glaring issues with the team was Cammy's performances. He hasn't been playing as well this year, and that's why you always hear the references to Cold War Cammy and how dominant he was as an AR player during that game. But it hasn't translated over the years into this year, and Cammy was dropped, being replaced by Nasty, who was making a Challengers run this season and proved his talent as an AR player in the league last year during the MW2 season. Anyways, with that roster change made, LA Thieves was looking to make another change because changing only one role on the team does not make the team good enough to make the middle of the pack. So they were also looking in the Challengers pool to see who they could replace as an SMG. There was debate as to whether Afro or Joe Deceives would be released from the team, but when it came down to it, Joe Deceives ended up being moved to the substitute role and being replaced by Crimp, who was also in the league last season and just won Challengers Major 1. Everybody knows that Joe Deceives is a really talented player, but when looking at his gameplay, it's clear that he just needs a bit more discipline and he just needs some more time to develop. But once he gets more reps, I think that he will be a top SMG in the league. So I'm excited to see what he does this season, but I think I'm more excited to see how this change will play out for the LA Thieves going into Major 2. It was one of the biggest roster moves that we've had so far, so we'll see what happens with this squad. But speaking of multiple roster changes, another team with a Call of Duty veteran, Clayster is in some of the last few years of his career, and he's looking to make the champs run. So whenever Royal Ravens started the season slow, it was clear that roster changes would need to be made. If the Ravens want to make the top 8 and make champs, teams have to make these changes early before it's too late. COD champs is in the summer in a few months, so the season isn't very long. It's very smart for teams to make these changes early if they're not playing well, and I think that Ravens and Thieves were two of the teams that needed to make changes the most, and I'm really impressed with what Ravens has come up with. Unfortunately, Real, who was a really promising Challengers player, did not get his opportunity to play in the league this year because he was having problems obtaining his visa. It's unfortunate to see because he has a lot of potential, and it sucks to see a situation like this happen, but he's not completely out because he's playing for a Challengers roster, Deviants Gaming, so we'll still get to see how he performs this year. The Ravens needed a replacement, so while Real was trying to figure out his visa situation, TJ Halley, Clayster's former teammate from last year on Legion, was picked up from the Challengers pool, and he initially joined as a temporary substitute during the Major 1 qualifiers. They played Rocker on January 14th and lost 3-0. .RX was Carolina's worst player since the beginning of the season, and that was one of the changes that they needed to make. So they replaced GodRx with Fellow, who's been around pro Call of Duty for over a decade and competed with Clayster throughout the years. And after this change was made, GodRx decided to hang up the sticks and go into retirement. I think Fellow was a good pick. Damn. During Major 1, Carolina made a short losers bracket run that ended against Optic, so I'm excited to see what this team does. Another team that made a roster change following Major 1 was Boston Breach. They started off the season with Snoopy, Capsidal, Priesta, and Slasher, and with Capsidal and Snoopy as aggressive SMG players, their playstyles did not mesh well, and that was pretty evident from the beginning of the season. And the standings show how much they struggled throughout the Major 1 split. They ended it in 11th, tied with the LA Thieves, and with the ceiling on a player like Snoopy, you have to bet on him. For Breach, they needed someone with a slower, more methodical playstyle, and after Asum won the first Challengers event alongside Kremp, it was clear that he was their guy. Asum has been around the league for years. He's been frying in Challengers and proved that he deserves a CDL spot. The only thing that sucks is Capsidal was released from the team, and it's not because he's a bad player, it's more so because his playstyle doesn't mesh well with the rest of the team. Capstone is one of the most entertaining people to watch in the Call of Duty League, in my personal opinion, and I think that he is a really solid player who will end up getting picked up by a pro team. If not before Major 2, definitely right afterwards. But for now, Boston Breach is going into Major 2 with Snoopy, Asim, Priesta, and Slasher. So we'll see if this change can bring them into the top 8. One team who is trying to stay in the top 8 is the Miami Heretics. They had a pretty easy schedule in the online qualifiers, and before qualifiers even started, Journey replaced Eric Boom, and it seems that after the Boston LAN disappointment where Heretics placed top 12, that they wanted to go back on their original change and bring Eric Boom back into the roster. Journey is going back to Challengers, and Eric Boom will get his shot, and we'll see if they can stay in the top 8 during Major 2. I think they're a pretty good team, but they have a pretty difficult schedule coming up, so it's going to put them to the test, and we'll see how good they actually are. And last but certainly not least, a team I was expecting to make a change, but definitely not this one, Las Vegas Legion. It was announced on February 6th that Standy would be replaced by Geo due to both in-game and out-of-game factors. There was clearly some internal conflict going on, and Standy had this to say following his release from the roster.
But it's okay. Don't slam anyone. You guys can have your own opinions out there, but I don't want you guys cooking people. Actually, I mean, respect, honestly, like, you like them as persons, like them, I think they're all great people. I like them. But at the same time, right?
Wow, man. Damn.
When he said actually, I mean, I knew it was over. Bro is a savage. Anyways, Geo came in second at the Challengers Boston Open, and he's had vouchers from people in the community like Parasite, who has been gassing this dude up left and right. When you look at the roster, Purge is the worst player on the team, but at the same time, this is his rookie season, so giving him a second chance and giving him a different role on the team, moving him to a second SMG or a third AR may work to his benefit, but like I always say, time will tell. I'm just surprised that Standy is out of the league right now. I'm sure he'll get picked up. If not, he'll play Challengers. But I can already see the storyline building, and the next few weeks should be pretty exciting. It came out that Seattle Surge was looking for options to bench Illy off the roster. An official change hasn't been made yet.
Psych!
But I have a whole video on the Seattle Surge situation from Major 1. So if you guys are interested in learning about the Seattle Surge and all the controversy surrounding that team, feel free to check it out. It'll be linked down in my description. But the most unfortunate roster change came to the Call of Duty League. On January 30th, tweets from several COD League employees started coming out about how they were being released right after the Major 1 Boston LAN event, including all of the COD League observers and a majority of the full-time staff. Microsoft laid off 60 out of the 72 COD League employees, and in an article talking about the layoffs, it says there are no longer any more full-time observers for the COD League, as the remainder of Hot Hands Lounge was let go after the conclusion of the Boston Major. Lee said of the team of 6. All of those years of hard work and development the team put in has just been wiped. COD esports will never be the same again. That was one of the COD League observers, and I actually watched a video about the COD League observers this week, which explains how they put on the CDL stream for us, and it's actually really impressive. All these different roles these guys have to play in order to make the production what it is. So for them to be released off of the full-time staff is very unfortunate, because some of the Call of Duty League employees have been around competitive COD before the COD League even started, and so it's very sad that they're out of a job right now. But from what I understand, the COD League observers are still going to work on the stream just on a freelance basis, pretty much just working whenever they're needed. But I think the bigger question in all of our minds is this the sign of the end of the Call of Duty League? Like within the next year or two, the COD League could shut down. A post-CDL era would be chaotic at first, but it does open a lot of opportunities for the next generation of COD players, but that's a conversation for another time. These are all the updates to Rostermania following Major 1, and the season is just beginning. I've been enjoying the COD League so far. Let me know your guys' thoughts on what you think the future of the COD League will look like down in the comments. We hit 1,000 subs a few days ago. Thank you guys so much. I am so grateful for everybody who watches the videos. You guys don't understand how much it means to me. Thank you guys for 1,000 2,000 subscribers. And then look, hey, and we're just starting the channel. I'm gonna go hard this year for you guys. So if you have any suggestions on like videos or different types of content you will want to see, feel free to let me know, man. I've been having a blast doing these videos. So thank you guys for watching if you made it all the way to the end. Major 2 qualifiers start on Friday, February 16th. So we got about a week and a half. But until then, I hope that you guys have a great week. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace.